Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Nobody bringing you a little bit again of making nobody happy. And today I want to answer a question that someone posed online about evil. And the question is understanding evil is a painful but necessary step on the path to personal enlightenment. Agree or disagree? So I do want to respond to that. But of course, I want to respond to more than just that because. I think you're actually touching on something very essential to human nature here and some very essential problems with human nature. But that also starts running you into some of the solutions. So I also want to delve just a little bit into some of the solutions for this problem that we have of needing to understand evil that maybe aren't the typical answers everyone would think about. So the question, understanding evil, is that a necessary step on the path to personal enlightenment? I would say yes, but not everyone is adapted for doing it in the same way, not in the way that some people are. Some people are very good at looking at and intimately understanding and experiencing evil, and some aren't. They just can't, and that's okay. I believe that for these people, the important thing is to be in relationship with people who do. And they're probably bringing things to the table that the evil seers need. So no, I don't expect everyone to really understand or be interested in the same way in understanding evil. But I do think they'll be ruined if people aren't intimately connected with someone who does. And so that's a question. I know there could be a lot of pushback on that. People would have a lot of different ideas on that. And so let me just expand. I would say everyone does need to understand evil to some degree, but what that looks like and how much some people are adapted for varies enormously. I don't think that humans are designed to just be complete and self-contained. I think we overestimate the degree to which we can develop ourselves to be complete and perfect and whole. It's great when we move toward that goal. I'm not denying that at all, but it's a tension. Your capabilities are limited and they're meant to be limited. There's only so much you can do, only so much you can handle, only so much you can carry, only so much you can understand. You have limited capacities and they are meant to be limited. And you also have exceptional capabilities. And those limitations and capabilities are meant to be shared and to operate in tandem with other people. So we're not hyper individualistic as a species, even if our individuals are hyper capable compared to other species. We're also hyper social. We can't function or even survive childhood without other people. We're not meant to. When we do think that way, we discount the degree to which we got the capability that we have from the products of someone else's efforts and talents. Like, we didn't just build ourselves up from our own nothingness. We're always, at all times, 1,000 feet deep in an ocean of the social products of all other humans, living and dead. Even the most alone of us can barely be said to be alone. We're connected to an almost infinite amount of people, an unimaginable amount. So I'm married and I have kids, and exploring this particular subject has been a lot of my personal experience. I love to look into the abyss. I like understanding evil, and my wife doesn't. Or at least there are kinds of understanding that she likes and kinds she doesn't. And that holds for me too. I like philosophical and political and social evil, and I'm interested in them, but I don't like interpersonal evil, relationship evil. It's too vague and slippery and painful, and I don't know how to handle it. So I don't enjoy some of the stories that she likes, the drama, the confusion, the stupidity, the misunderstandings, the emotion, the tears. I just get really stressed out watching or reading that. But they don't bother her. And she hates the conflicts that I enjoy. I like the on the walls conflict, and she likes the inside the walls conflict. Well, I have news for you. Both of those exist. I'm not quite as well adapted to one, and she's not quite as well adapted to the other. Our lack of interest in the other person's conflicts makes it hard to even understand the things the other person tolerates and even enjoys. And that's okay because we have each other. We've outsourced some of the burden of life and understanding it. So maybe it isn't that all people don't need to understand evil, but maybe they need to understand their evil, that it is their part to understand and confront. And that's going to look very different among different people. There's more than enough evil to go around, and we all have our niche. My wife can sometimes seem almost naive to me. She doesn't know, she doesn't understand what's out there, what people are doing, what they're capable of. She's too kind, too generous, too easy to take advantage of, too optimistic, too credulous. And that's fine. She has me, and I'm not perfect. I'm prejudiced around my own way of being, my own function. I'm not kind or generous or optimistic enough. Reality is mixed. And so are we. You never know what you're dealing with. So we tackle it together and we negotiate. And I think that's fine. We're always going to be at a little bit of a disconnect. There's always going to be a tension between our perspectives, but that's okay. We don't all have to be everything. We just need to be informed enough that we're not disastrously imbalanced, or we need to be in a relationship with someone who balances us. But being connected frees us up more to specialized. And the more isolated and disconnected we are, the greater the burden is on us to generalize and take on all the burden of understanding all by ourselves. And even that continuum is something we have to negotiate and find balance in. So I do want to actually follow up that particular thought, that one of the solutions to understanding evil is human diversity, including the difference between sexes, the average differences, personalities, that actually we have some built-in solutions already. Like, we've already been provided some of the ways to deal with these problems. We just have to learn to appreciate them. And as I said, as time has gone on, that's something that my appreciation of and understanding of has really grown in through my marriage, and even through seeing my kids work together, because my kids are really different from each other. Both very wonderful girls, but they are just opposite combinations of, they've each got part of me and part of my wife, but stuck together in completely surprising ways that pull against each other. And you can see those personalities wrestling with one another. But the funny thing about having achieved and grown into that role and understanding it is that I didn't used to be or see myself as being a very specialized person. I didn't see myself as being particularly masculine. And this sort of specialization I'm talking about, this sort of on the walls mentality, it is a traditionally masculine trait that I'm ascribing to myself. The truth is, I've always been more of a gender atypical person who saw myself as a complete generalist and a little more androgynous. I did gymnastics and figure skating. I was a stay-at-home dad providing primary childcare for many years. I did all the clothing shopping and decorating for our home. I did the cooking, the laundry. I hated cars. I didn't watch any sports. I actually hated them. I didn't like violence. I didn't like red meat. I am anything but the poster child for traditional American masculinity. But the funny thing is, the longer that you're married to someone, the more you do specialize into your roles, and you grow into being the man or the woman in your relationship. It emerged despite all of my apparent contributions to the contrary. So I'm actually far more manly and less of a generalist now than I was before all that. Being around someone different and being different from them ends up making you more like them in some ways, because you internalize parts of them. They become a voice in your head, but you also become more like yourself and go down the specialization of your difference in other ways. So you do, as I said, you internalize them into your own head and outlook, but you're more able to fully inhabit how you differ from them, because that's how economies work. So a bigger organization means more specialization. So I became more manly just by being married, even when I was the one feeding the baby and buying dresses and getting up during the night. the more things I did that seemed counter to some old-fashioned vision of traditional masculinity, the more I actually discovered my own masculinity and particularness within it. As we form this larger economy of a family, we all drift more into our own, those little differences start meaning more and adding up more than when you're just you on your own alone. The great thing about marriage is that sex compels you to tie yourself to just the sort of person who is most likely to criticize and misunderstand you. And it ties them to the sort of person they most fear and misunderstand themselves. And frankly, that's probably what you both need. That's what makes life possible. This meeting of opposing forces. That's how you get dynamism. You can't have a single force with a single direction. You have to have opposing forces. That's true even in physics. That's where the complexity and life dynamism arises from. So the world contains, going back to the subject of evil, more evil than you as an individual could meaningfully understand or confront. And it contains more good than you could meaningfully understand and cultivate. And that's okay. You're not meant to be complete, to have it all, to be able to tackle everything on your own, or invent your whole world or everything you'll ever need from scratch. We rely on others, past and present, to figure out thousands of tiny bits of it for us, to make us complete. And that makes us vulnerable, but it also means that we're needed. We're an important part of something. We have a role to play. It confines us because we're surrounded, yes, but it also gives us purpose. It focuses us. It has some unforgiving demands, but it also presents amazing opportunities if you're willing to pay the price and participate in these economies of relationships. Now, I did get bullied a lot as a kid. That's something I mentioned before, and I learned a lot from that. In particular, how easy it is to let bad things that happen to you convince you that it's okay to be a jerk, or just that it's better to be on your own. And I have tried carrying everything on my own. I figured I was so smart and so capable that I could genuinely figure out anything better than anyone. I was also remarkably emotionally disciplined, and I figured there was nothing I couldn't handle. And when I went through hard times in college, I got super depressed and started having panic attacks and sleep disorders and was even cutting myself. And I didn't tell anyone. In fact, I avoided revealing anything, and that was stupid. I can say now, with the benefit of time and change, I was wrong. I did need other people, and they were helpful. And actually, there were more people available to be helpfully connected to me than I thought. So my brilliant self-sufficiency was dumb. It didn't even have much of a purpose until I could start connecting it to other people, because you're always just you until you become more than you in relationship with other people. However wonderful you are, if it's only internal to yourself, it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't give the same kind of satisfaction. And so other people become necessary for us to fulfill even our most selfish versions of what we want for ourselves. And as much as that hurts us and frustrates us and inconveniences us to need other people and to be in these connections and relationships to other people, it is a kind oppression. It is a bargain that we make. It actually is something wonderful and terrible. So anyway, this is going on a little bit big, a little bit long. Obviously, the risks of opening yourself up to genuinely needing other people are very big. They can be catastrophic. And I can't whitewash that. No one has ever hurt me like my wife and my kids have hurt me. I never even imagined that anyone could hurt me like that or do the things to me that they did until they did it. But nothing was more worth it than opening myself up to that kind of experience. And a lot of things that I was worried about were not actually a really big deal at all, and I maybe should have done them sooner and embraced them more eagerly. It's easy to underestimate just how far those scary endeavors can take you and how much they can actually help you. It's very easy to imagine the costs, but it's the benefits that will really surprise you. And so that's what I have to say. Live life with courage.